You know the old expression, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Believe it or not, that regarding this week's Torah portion, this week's Parsha talks about the first fruit that the Jew would bring to the Kohen in the temple as an expression of gratitude to Hashem for his blessings. And it says that the rich man would bring his big basket of fruit in a beautiful silver bowl. And when the Kohen would take out the fruit from the silver bowl, he would return the silver bowl to the rich man. However, the poor man couldn't afford a silver bowl. He bought a little wicker basket with a few fruits in it. And he presented it to the Kohen, and the Kohen would accept it, say thank you, and keep the fruit with the basket. So the Talmud says, you see, basar aniya azala neyusa. The poor get poorer. The rich guy gets his basket, his silver bowl back, but the poor man loses his basket. So the question is, why don't we return the basket to the poor man? It seems unfair. The rich man gets his bowl back, the poor man doesn't get his basket back. And there are three answers given. The first answer given is that the Kohen is giving him a blessing. What's he saying? Next year you're not going to need this little wicker basket. You're going to have such a good year next year. You're going to be like the rich guy. You're going to bring a big basket bowl with fruit, with beautiful fruits, abundant, and you're going to have a silver bowl to bring it in. So I'm going to keep this because you're not going to need it next year. So he's giving him encouragement for next year, a blessing, which is more valuable than the basket. Second answer given by commentaries is that when the rich man brings the big bowl of fruit, even after you take out the fruit and give back the bowl, it's very impressive, the gift. The poor man, if you take out his few little fruits out of the basket, it doesn't look like much anymore. With the basket, it looks a little more substantial. In order not to embarrass him, to make his gift look so minuscule, you keep the Kohen keeps the basket to keep it in a very impressive form, that it should look like a more lavish gift. Because the dignity and the honor of the poor man is more valuable to him than the little wicker basket. He says, keep it, just don't embarrass me by taking out the few items and make it look smaller than it is. But yet there's a third answer. And the third answer is that the rich man, he's rich. You know, the bowl doesn't really make a difference to him. Keep the bowl, give me the bowl back. I'm a wealthy guy. So therefore it doesn't mean that much to the rich man. So the Kohen says you can have it back. But the poor man, this little wicker basket, he had to sit there and weave it, and he took the few fronds, branches that he had to make it. It was made with love, with care. It's a meaningful gift. So Hashem says, I want this wicker basket too, because it's part of the generosity. It's a silver bowl, but there's more heart in it. There's more generosity in this little wicker basket. Bill Gates, something happened in the news. Most people don't pay attention to this. I don't either, but I noticed it. In July, he was always the second wealthiest man in the world. Jeff Bezos was the top guy, 125 billion. And Bill Gates, Nebuch was only number 2. He's like 107 billion. But in July, the guy who was in third place, like some French billionaire, overtook him. And Bill Gates dropped to number 3. And what's amazing was it was for a good reason. Why? Because he had given away so much charity that he lost his position. He's given away $35 billion already to charity. So he dropped to number 3. So there's a story I read, again, I don't know if it's true, but it still brings out a great point, that Bill Gates once in an interview said that when he was starting out, he was just a regular guy, didn't have much money. He was once in the airport and he went to buy a newspaper. He was catching a flight. And when he went into his pocket for the money, he didn't have enough money to buy the newspaper. So he put it back. And the guy who owned the newspaper stand said, it's okay, you just take it. And he gave it to him like, no charge. It's on me, he said. And he said he never forgot that kindness. And he said many years later, like 15 years later, he says he was going through that same airport. And now he'd already become a successful man. And he sees the same newspaper guy. So he goes back and says, I'll never forget what you did for me when I had nothing. And you gave me this newspaper, no charge, out of the goodness of your heart. I want to do something for you. How could I repay you? Tell me what you need. And the poor man, he said, looked at him and said, you don't have to repay me. It was my pleasure. But he says, besides, why do you think you could repay me? He says, what do you mean? Why can't I repay you? He says, you can't repay me because I gave you the newspaper as a poor newspaper vendor. You're repaying me as a wealthy, successful person. If you want to repay me, you have to repay me from a position that I did the act of kindness. And Bill Gates in this interview said that I realized that this poor newspaper vendor was wealthier than I am, because real wealth is when you have not just material, physical wealth, but you have a rich heart. To be able to give freely, even when you don't have much, that's true wealth, that's true riches. And in a way, that's what the parsha is saying. The poor man who gives his hard-earned fruit with the little wicker basket, Hashem says, that's more dear to me and more precious. So when we go to the high holidays, all we have to do is come with a full heart to Hashem, give the best we can give, do the best we can do. And if we do that, then we're giving a beautiful gift to Hashem.